everybody. Welcome to the Kapow Show. Jeff Underwood. This guy, Jerry White. What's up, man?
It's that time of year again. We get to meet new people. It's always so much fun. We got people in we don't really know. And I'm sorry.
Politics, man. Politics.
So we have John Henry Hill Jr.
Hello.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah.
Hey, he pulled in a nice truck, though. I do know that.
Gotta get votes.
Yeah.
Gotta get votes.
It will get votes. Was that 2,500?
It is 3,500.
See.
Lost my vote.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
That's too much truck for me.
Too much truck for me. I can't vote for that.
When he pulled in, I looked at my little truck and I looked at his and I was like, I don't even like this guy now. I don't even
park on me. He's park over there.
He needed a couple trucks.
Yeah, he got a couple.
We can grab another one next time.
That's right. Okay. All right. John, tell us about yourself, man.
Well, I'm 50 years old. I'm a veteran. I'm married to the woman of my dreams. We have 2 little children together. I live in North Gadsden. I'm a business owner. I own Summit Towing in Leesburg. We have a car lot. We have a towing company, mechanic shop, and a junkyard. And just last year in October, it was put on my heart to run for an elected position for the office of sheriff of Etowah County. So here I am. I'm a veteran. My wife's a veteran. I worked in bail enforcement for some time. Had a lot of people ask me about my law experience or being a policeman. I've never been a policeman, but I have been a veteran. I worked with Border Patrol for some time in early 2000 in Van Horn, Texas, as a detachment with the military service. So I know a little bit about it. Office of Sheriff is an administrative job. Sure. I've done very well in business, and I, try to let people know that first and foremost. My leadership skills, if I'm going to toot my own horn, I'd say my leadership skills are very good. And I'm looking forward to serving the people of Etowah County.
Well, you're here to toot your own horn.
Well, that's
if you don't, no one's going to do it for you. So let's talk. We're very familiar with Border Patrol. We have a family in this church who their son is currently a Border Patrol. Is he in Phoenix or outside Phoenix right now?
He's based out of Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, based out of Phoenix. And those stories we tell are the stuff that group of people goes through, unimaginable. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
He's on the horse, is it brigade or whatever? They ride horses.
Wow.
And his horse, he tells stories about his horse pulling people to the ground.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Crazy. I want no part of it.
I don't want any part of that. I love to hear the stories, but I'm out on that. So you say you're on a junkyard as well?
We do.
Really? And that is in Leesburg?
It is.
Well, people need to know because
like Jeff, because he's always looking for a part.
I'm always looking for a part.
We try to crush the cars. About every 60 days, we'll crush the cars and get new ones in, and we cycle them through.
Oh, wow. That's always fascinated me because, Jerry, he's Italian. And he always talk about doing away with people. If you're going to be the sheriff, you need to know these things.
Right.
You need to know who you're running with. He always talk about doing away with people. And I always wondered, could you get by with the crushing people in the compactor instead of burying them in 50-gallon barrels up in Walker County?
I've never really given it a thought. I hope not.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, Jerry's got a process.
Stream of income. We can work that out.
If you guys have any questions, you can call in. You know that at 256-613-0927, or you can just put them there on YouTube, or you can put them on Facebook. John has been gracious, said that he would answer any questions that you guys have. You need to know him. You need to know who this guy is. And so when you're talking about I'm going to run for sheriff, highest elected official in Etowah County.
Right.
I mean, this is the guy that is between us and tyranny, right? So if the government decided to go crazy, our sheriff could protect us and keep us out of some of this stuff.
That's something to really be looking at, especially this day and time.
Yeah.
Is what avenues would you take? What do you have in place for an immediate response to something like that? And those are real world issues right now, I think.
Sure they are.
We see it in other countries and even other states in our country at times, where people will riot or they'll be out protesting and things get out of control very quickly. A lot of people, are passionate about what they believe in. I'm passionate about what I believe in.
Yeah.
And some people's passion sometimes goes a little too far, I believe. And, having a response to an incident such as that, an immediate response to an incident such as that is something that, needs to be looked at and thought about very often, and training needs to be done.
Tell us about you mentioned beliefs. What What do you believe is the greatest need for Etowah County Sheriff's Department? What do you think is the greatest need?
In my opinion, the greatest need is for the people's voices to be heard. Um, one thing I've learned being out campaigning, knocking on doors, is everybody has a different need. Everybody, a lot of people have separate issues, um, and I've learned more about that just in the 4 weeks about knocking on doors and meeting people. Um, Ultimately, what it all boils down to is they want their voice to be heard. They want their concerns to be addressed in a timely manner. They want to know that they're heard and that their issues are being addressed. And there's I've heard things like response time of deputies when there's a call made for an emergency response for a deputy to respond that some at times they can't get there soon enough. And that's an issue that needs to be addressed. Drugs are very well taken over our county. In my opinion, a lot of other people's opinions, drugs in the jail itself is a big issue. The ones we do see and hear about, we never, to my knowledge, we don't ever understand the resolve behind these drugs were brought into the jail, how they were brought in, what we're doing to resolve the issue, and what we're doing to prevent it from happening again. Knocking on doors, meeting people. There's a lot of people that has family in the jail.
Sure.
And they address issues like that, and their loved ones are calling and saying, sometimes they're saying there's drugs in the jail, and we had an inmate that overdosed, and now we don't know where he's at, what's going on. Just knowing that the jail isn't a safe place is a huge concern. I feel like deputies being out in these rural areas and getting to know the communities in some type of way would establish, a path between the communities and the sheriff's department that says, "Hey, I'm here for you. I'm the guy that's representing this area, this neighborhood. Here's my card. If you need anything, call me. No matter how big or small it is, and if you have a need for emergency services, this is how you get it. And I'm here for you." And social media is such a huge outlet for everybody.
Sure.
Every single person. And even if you just follow or send a friend request to someone, it doesn't mean you have to interact with them day by day.
That's a fact.
It just means you have another avenue, a resource where that deputy that's working that rural area or the deputies that's working that area can keep up with what's going on in the neighborhoods, and I feel like prevention of a crime is what we need to focus on and not what we do after something happens. And I don't know that we see that enough, and that's something that needs to be looked at as well.
Are you hearing, so obviously you're hearing stories out and about, so are there certain areas of the county that the response times are way worse than others that you're running across? What areas are the most
Very
concerned?
much so. So I had a lady, actually I was in Altoona and Walnut Grove yesterday, and I had a lady tell me that she had called for, she just heard a disturbance outside. Her dogs went wild, which if you live in the county and your dogs go wild,
Sure.
usually that means either someone's lurking or there's a coyote.
Or there's a strange man feeding him a biscuit. That's what he does to my dogs.
Hey, you might be able to bring two. These come out.
Well, he brings 4 usually. So
A lot of dogs.
Yeah,
It's good to have an extra.
Sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
She said that the response time she had on a call was 50 some odd minutes. You could tell she knew it was over 50 minutes. She said it was just nearly an hour before an emergency response was made at her place. But when the deputy got there, he was very nice, very professional, very thorough with his search. But the one thing that stood out with her about that call was the amount of time it took him to get there.
Sure.
And that's something that, in my opinion, if we already have an SRO program where we have deputies in the schools. Well, one of the things I would like to do is put an office in the school for after hours where a deputy can be there in the rural areas closer to these communities outside of our cities or our municipalities, and it's going to give an extra level of security for the school. It would be somewhat of an outpost for deputies to be to where if they do have an emergency call, they'll be able to respond a whole lot quicker, and the communities will feel safer to knowing someone is closer to them at all times.
That's very true. I mean, presence of law enforcement. My son's a police officer, and He's
which amazes me.
It does amaze me. We thought he'd be on the other side.
Yeah.
But he's on JSOG. Matter of fact, just got he's going to be at FTO now, and it is something different. We had an emergency the other day with one of my daughters. She got hurt at the ATV. She was enrolled over completely, and so we're in the hospital. And I'm gonna tell you something. If there's some, you want to see craziness, go to the emergency rooms in Gadsden, because it was chaotic and it was weird. He walks in. Now he was in uniform and he was getting ready to go on duty. And he walks in, and immediately there was a calmness that came over the waiting room, and it was crazy. I mean, people started talking quieter. They wasn't crazy. One that wasn't yelling at the people up front, all of those different things. So the presence of law enforcement, period, whether it's a vehicle backed in front of the church like we have on Sunday mornings that lets people know, hey, you're safe in here, or a school or a bank, when you see that there's a law enforcement presence, it does bring a sense of calmness to it, right?
There's a double level of security there.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to go in here and act a fool. If you do, there's going to be some consequences.
And repercussions.
And repercussions.
And there's a precautionary there as well.
Sure.
Just having the presence.
Lots of questions coming in.
Danny Starnes, I'm going to need you to
I'm not asking that first question.
I'm going to need you to rephrase that question.
Yeah, rephrase that, Danny. I will ask Drake.
A smart aleck.
He's so funny too, man. Drake Davenport says, it's a good question. He says, ask John if he's going to run a clean campaign instead of trying to run down Sheriff Horton. Great question, because we saw in some of the past campaigns there was some craziness out there.
So I think a clean campaign, a mudslinging campaign, I think that's a matter of opinion. So, and I appreciate that question. I get it asked a lot. So, in politics, what do you call a clean campaign? In my opinion, and I'm not a politician, I am running for a political office. In my opinion, if I said I seen so and so at the bar getting drunk and hitting on women, I believe that would be mudslinging. That'd be called a dirty campaign. Me owning a business, before I hire someone, you're required to fill out an application. I want to know your history.
Sure.
And I think when you're running for office of sheriff, it is very important to know someone's history. And if anyone brings up my history, I'm not perfect. I'm human.
Sure.
I'm willing to talk about it by all means. I have brought up things in the past about the incumbent sheriff, and my immediate response from his supporters was I was slinging mud or mudslinging or running a dirty campaign. But and other responses was everybody already knows this about Sheriff Horton. Well, let me tell you, I've had more than 100 people tell me they did not know certain things. And I think it's very important that all the facts are present before we go to the polls and elect for who's going to sit in that sheriff's seat, who's going to run the county basically, who's going to be your voice when your voice isn't being heard. I don't feel like I'm slinging mud. If I said something that wasn't true, or I voiced an opinion on something that I say I seen happened and didn't back it up with facts, I would consider that a dirty campaign or mudslinging. So am I going to run a clean campaign? I feel like I'm running a clean campaign. The fact that I bring to the public notice of someone's history, I do not consider that to be running a dirty campaign. And that's my personal opinion. I know it's going to be different from others, and hey, we all are allowed to have our opinion. I have a lot of people reach out to me and says we did not know certain things, and I think it's important to know the facts. If you catch me posting an opinion or saying I seen something, I don't back it up with facts, well then you could say I'm running a dirty campaign or slinging mud, as some people call it. I don't see it that way. So the best answer for that is yes, I will be running and am running a clean campaign, a factual campaign. I want the voters to know who they're voting for with the facts that are presented, not an opinion that I may have or someone else may have.
Okay.
And I hope that answers your question. Thank you for asking it.
All right, Jerry. Let me say this real quick before Jerry jumps in. You can also text. There's a lot of comments coming in. You don't have to call in to hear your voice. You can text also 256-613-0927 and also comment there on YouTube.
My first statement was, Drake Davenport, where you been?
He's been on in a minute.
I ain't seen him on the show in forever. Question, what's your opinion with everything that's going on with ICE?
My opinion with ICE. So, First and foremost, the officer of the sheriff, his job is to uphold the law and represent the law. My opinion on that is just my opinion. As sheriff, I will be required to do what is legal. If I'm required to go out with ICE and support them, I will support them. Now, do I agree with everything that ICE is doing? Not particularly. I don't. That's my opinion. When you're told this is your job and you have to do this, I have to do that to the best of my ability and do it legally. My opinion on should they be going in schools, I don't feel like they should. Getting people off the job. Now, if they find people who are here illegally, if they find these people organically, say they get pulled over for speeding, or they get caught out, or they have a call for services on someone doing whatever. If they find these people that are here illegally, well, then that should be addressed that way. And these are my opinions. These are my personal views on it. But like I said, what I'm required to do lawfully, I will do lawfully, because that is my job. And I hope that answers your question. If you want me to elaborate, or you have an extension of the question, or you wish for a better answer, please send it in. I'll be glad to answer it for you.
It is, somebody had commented about the jail, and it is very true that the federal government comes in and they evaluate your jail to see if if it does qualify to be a ICE detainee or a detention center as well. So the federal government has come in to the Etowah County Jail. I know this for a fact, not firsthand, that they came through and they see fit that it does qualify. Listen, every jail, and I'll say this, every jail has craziness in it.
Correct.
Right? There's always going to be a way to get contraband in. You can do your best to keep it out. I mean, I know when the Sheriff Horton went in, there was ungodly amount of locks and things that needed to be replaced, and that's the first thing they did, is they jumped in on that and have done a good job of that, because let's face it, money's not endless in this job. You've got to prioritize, and I believe his administration has done a good job, and I've got to give kudos where kudos is due. Has gone in and worked hard to get those locks and those things, tried to get them repaired. They've put a perimeter fence out there because there was contraband coming down and coming up,
which is great story.
Which is hilarious.
I'm not watching the movie.
It's nuts, and people like Jerry and I, we don't think that way. So, well, sometimes Jerry does, but anyway. But when we were told, we were like, right? That's the only reason. We were like, that's ingenious. I mean, they think of any kind of way to get this stuff in. So I do appreciate you saying, hey, we got to continue to stay on that path to make sure there's contrabands, because it's bad, and any jail is bad. But so they've done a good job of getting that contract back with ICE when I think it was lost at one time, right?
It was. And one of the things about, when you speak about them fishing drugs and contraband through the windows, how much time does it take to knock a hole in one of the windows?
I don't know.
It's not quick, right?
I'm sure
I don't think you can sit there and just take a pencil and go through the window.
Could whittle with a wooden spoon or something.
Say Wataneo.
Say Wataneo. Right. Yeah, you always go back to that. Yeah.
If you can, obviously a lot of people says you can't get all the drugs contraband out of the jail, and I agree with that to some extent. We keep guns out of the prison.
Well, guns in prison?
No, we keep them out.
Oh.
How can we keep guns out without drugs and contraband?
Well, it's very.
I don't know how you got that.
It's very. This 9 that I carry, it's very difficult to put that somewhere that
or even knives or weapons in general. And this is my opinion. I don't work in the jail. I haven't worked in the jail. I've talked to people who have previously worked in the jail. I've talked to people who work in the jail now. When you run a campaign for office of sheriff, you speak to a lot of different people. I've had people reach out to me that I didn't even know who they was or what they did until after we talked. What is being done on the patrols when the COs are going through and inspecting, doing their head counts? What can we do there? Are we looking at the windows to see if there's a scratch or an infraction in that window? As you drive by outside of the jail and you look up, and I've done this many times. I've parked out there and looked. It is very visible when there's a hole in that window. How long does it take to put that hole in that window in between head counts that we're not inspecting these? The COs aren't saying, hey, there's a level of inspection that must be done in each room, not just your head counts. And if you see an infraction in the window, what are these cameras doing? Why are the cameras not seeing who's drilling these holes? Why are they not being held accountable? There needs to be a sense of accountability, not just for the inmates, but for the COs inside the jail, to make sure this is your standard. This is what you do on a day-to-day basis.
So you think maybe it's a lot of great people work in the jail. I don't want to hear that. That's not what we're saying at all.
I agree.
You think maybe it's a training issue?
Training issue.
And is there are they fully staffed? I'm asking questions I don't know.
I've been told they're not, and I think it's common knowledge that they're not as staffed as they should be. Okay. The issues surrounding that I can't really speak on. But again, we remember after the 60 days in program that there was 300 new cameras installed.
Yeah,
who's monitoring these cameras, and what are the cameras looking at? That all that is going wrong in the jail. And I'm not here today just to speak ill. There's a lot of good things going on. There are things that are going efficiently. The court system of security in the courtroom and bringing inmates over. I've seen no issues there, heard of any issues there. And there's a lot of great deputies who want to serve. And sure. I've had deputies, when I see them out, I reach out to them. I'm like, hey, I'm John Hill. A lot of them, well, they've all heard of me now.
Sure, sure.
And
in a good way.
Yeah, of course. Not all of them. Not all of them.
Well, they ain't tracking you down with a warrant.
But everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I think everybody's opinion needs to be respected and understood and listened to. But how are we monitoring these camera systems? Why can we not pick up on these things and also have a prevention of crime inside that jail instead of after the fact of things happening that shouldn't be happening inside that jail?
Let me get back to this. There's a.
While you look for that one, I'm going to tell a story from yesterday. I was so happy. I was so happy.
That means something bad usually.
On the way home, I decided last night. It's nothing to do with Mr. Hill, but it does. And I wanted to get. I'm a Publix soup guy, right? I love going to Publix. Love going to the hot food bar and getting some soup or chili, whatever. My wife said, "I don't want that. I whip me through Wendy's." Right? Frustration. How many times you pull a Wendy's now, they make you pull up. Make you pull up. They had a sheriff's cart pulled up. I was like, yes! Wasn't just me. Yes. And he wasn't happy, man. Truck number 330.
Wow. So see what he did to you? That's right.
Happy.
We do have a lot of friends that are sheriff deputies. Jonathan Horton is a very good friend of ours, and that's who we are. We're very fair. And I've been told, an Alabama senator told Jerry the other day he's not coming on our show because we're too controversial. And Jeff's a preacher, and he shouldn't be asking hard questions like that. So, literally, I read it, and thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. It's a blessing to me. And I don't know where in the world people think that Christians or preachers can't ask hard questions and we're grown people. You can have a discussion, right?
I believe that's what this is for.
Right. So anyway, and we're not hiding that fact that we love Jonathan, we love his wife, and they're very good friends of ours, and we'll do anything for them, they'll do anything for us. But we also want the people to have a fair and balanced election and be able to choose who they want.
That's great.
And we're going to be your friend. We're the very same thing. We do that for everybody. Jerry grew up with Jonathan, went to school with him, and there's one comment on here about not being in law enforcement and those types of things. Go back and read all the comments. I encourage you to do that. On YouTube, they go away when they're on a live. So if they ask a question when it's live on YouTube, those will go away. But you can go back to Facebook and look at all these comments.
As soon as we had the question about ICE, George Cantlinato hopped on.
Hey, George.
George sent something.
He did. Let me see what the fellow's talking about. I miss you, George. I ain't seen you in a minute. A lot of questions. I'm not answering. I'm not putting Mitch on.
No.
Sorry, Mitch.
Okay. Let me get back to this one real quick. Okay, let's talk about that.
Which one?
Melanie Clayton Thompson. You want to read that one? The told by whom?
Go on. I don't even see it, man. Go ahead.
It says told by whom. Visitation is the key component that makes me say you're making blind claims. Absolutely don't understand talking about from the inside of a jail standpoint. That's a fair, I guess, assessment. I mean, I guess if you're running for sheriff and how do you, I guess that's the only way you can find out what's going on in the jail is to be told by people that work in the jail, correct?
Yes, correct.
I mean,
and they're going to have a view of it from their side. I firmly believe there's three sides to every story. There's my truth, there's your truth, there's the actual truth in the middle.
Okay, it's fair.
So yeah, I believe a lot of families have loved ones in the jail, and people who've been in the jail. They have a story they tell too, and I've met them knocking on doors. So visitation to me, I would like to see that visitation sign used.
Okay,
I would like to see people be able to come and see their loved ones and not have to pay for it. Some people can't afford to pay their power bill to buy groceries, and the only way you can visit your family is through a video call now. And that's a big issue. I've had so many people.
I didn't realize that. I guess
I've had so many people say that to me, that they can't even see their loved ones or people they care about and see what condition or frame of mind they're in. As some people go in and come out rehabilitated to some degree.
Sure.
And I've heard some people go in and come out worse. And I haven't dealt with that personally, but I listen to what everybody says. Well, a lot of people have said the only way they can visit their family members or their loved ones is through a video call that doesn't even work. And they have to pay for that. And it's a costly, if you want to visit your family 3 or 4 times a month, with a video call, I understand it's $100 plus. Some people can't afford to pay their power bill to buy groceries right now. And that's,
definitely a power bill.
Yeah. When you knock on a lot of different doors, you meet people of all aspects and areas of life and of this county. And some people are far better off than others. And that's one of the things I've realized in my life. Sometimes I feel like my life isn't going great, and I meet people who make me realize how blessed I am.
Amen. Yeah, me too.
Have you visited the jail?
I have not. No, I have not. No further than the dispatch window.
I think it would be. I don't know if you can do it or not, but I think it would behoove you or anybody that's running for sheriff to try to line up a tour to go in so you can see that. I don't think
the doors are open. I would love to do that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm sure these guys are.
Yeah, people want. Yeah, absolutely.
Go back, Melanie, Miss Thompson. I'm going to get him. Go back and look at the comment. There's a long comment that Miss Thompson put out there. If you would respond to that.
I saw her last one. She said, also, this is not meant as any kind of attack.
No.
I'd just like to hear something concrete from a well thought out and educated.
And I don't think we didn't take it that way.
Yeah, no. We appreciate you commenting.
And obviously, John said he would answer any questions, so I'm sure he'll go back and look and reply to you.
Yes, I'll respond to every question.
What do you plan on doing to fill the vacancy SRO position?
Oh, good.
To fill the vacant SRO positions?
Correct.
Well, I think a big issue with filling positions in the jail is the pay. The pay scale. Where are we at in our county? What should the deputies be making? Is the money there? I do know from research that I've done a little bit over a month ago when I realized I was going to do this, there are grants and there are things out there that we can levy to get money where the commission is not available. Whatever we need to do, and if something's being done, I think we, the people of the Etowah County, would like to know what is being done to increase the pay structure for SROs, for COs, for deputies, because a lot of them guys, their main issue is they can't provide. And just because you serve as a deputy patrolman or SRO, it doesn't mean you make enough money to live a comfortable lifestyle or you can pay your bills. Some people, and I've been told this by people who work there, some people have to take extra jobs, just to provide for their families and pay the basic necessities. Some aren't even able to go on vacations like some of us are. So finding ways to come up with more pay within the system, is there a way, what is being done to increase the salaries for these guys, to bring in quality people who want to serve, and I think that's a big thing, is you must want to serve the people. And if we can get them the pay they need where they don't have to go work a second job, and they're comfortable, at least comfortable with the pay they make,
right,
we would be able to get these guys in and ladies in that want to serve their community and can afford to do it with the pay that's structured therein.
I think that's across the board with everybody that's in law enforcement.
I agree.
Every agency.
They are not, they're not, and it's tough for, you got city like Rainbow City, the place that we are, they pay them very well. They give them opportunities for overtime. They work them. Their health benefits are 100% covered, and this is a great place to be in law enforcement here in Rainbow City. But to that extent, they also, like my son right now, he's a police officer in another municipality, but he's working at the Etowah Baptist Mission Center right now, running security there. He has to take side jobs, and that is true in law enforcement across the board, and that's something the government, the state, and everywhere else should start to do better about, because you're right on that one. I can 100% agree with that. When he told me, I don't try to get in his business, but what he makes versus what he does, when he's on JSOC, so when he's busting in these doors with that hell Bearcat or whatever it is, and getting shot at just the other day, this guy's getting 8 counts of attempted murder. Right. My son's one of those guys he was shooting at. They don't get paid enough, these guys and gals that put themselves in harm's way. And I think every person running for sheriff or police chief or mayor, they would all say that same thing. And if they have a heart for people, and obviously you do. And so a lot of comments on here. Thank you guys. And also looks like your wife is jumping on. Is her name Michelle?
Haley Michelle.
She's jumping on and helping answer some of these questions, which is great. Thank you. That's awesome. That's pretty cool to have.
She's my number one supporter.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's good. So maybe you won't have to answer all these questions. That's good.
Brandon said, he does do all that, but he said this, he's the most comfortable. He'd rather be comfortable doing that than when he's passing the offering plate in church.
That is very.
He's still really uncomfortable.
I thought offerings would go up, because he's got his gun on the side. It didn't go up. It went down a little bit.
A lot of questions. Thank you guys so
much.
Brandon
Haygood.
Thank you.
He works for me and he goes to church for me, and he had.
Who was that?
Oh, does he take off offering too? Brandon, he was talking about my son Brandon.
Oh, okay.
He was talking about Brandon Haygood. That's funny. Yeah, they're 100% Ms. Thompson underpaid. I agree. And talk about the involvement of what your plan would be for the involvement. You talked about presence at different businesses and different organizations, schools, and things like that. But what about community involvement? How important is it for deputies and the sheriff to be involved in community?
I think there's a lot that can be done there. So when we have these venues or these things that go on within the county, if we supply the level of security that's needed there, there has to be a payment made to the sheriff's department, especially if we're working as a private security enforcement through the sheriff's department. We used to have Riverfest, and it was a pretty big deal. I remember going a few times myself, and that's a huge show to be put on. I understand there was multiple reasons. Some people said it wasn't making enough money. At some point, are we losing money, or is it going to benefit our community or the areas, the aspects that we need more money in? Private businesses, engaging private businesses for a level of security, and can the sheriff's department be compensated, and can that compensation be used for the deputies and for the SROs? Anything we can do within our community, or even outreach programs to where we can get more funds into the sheriff's department and pay our guys and ladies better. Whatever we can do in all aspects of that, and it takes a team you have to put a team together of people who are basically in a think tank and says, hey, let's do this. Let's see if we can do this. Let's look at every avenue and get different ideas and opinions on what we can do to, raise the funds within the sheriff's department to pay the deputies better. And if they do need a second job, well, let's put them on the security force. Let's allow them that bit to go out and make that extra money, if it is overtime pay or if it's an outside source.
Sure. So let's ask this. Say election's over, you win. What is your top 3 things that you want to focus on in order? Where's your top priority, second, and third? I'm sure you've thought about it.
Oh, yeah. Big time. So accountability within the department of each and every person.
Sure.
If something doesn't go right, If there's an issue, let's address the issue. And I've had that spoken to me from people, which I'd already known that. Transparency. I mean, the community wants to know what's going on in the county more than once a week. And we see there's a sheriff in Florida, Sheriff Grady, that does a very regular show. We see that, and there's many other departments that has a regular show that comes out, and it's not about being famous or getting, it's about interacting with the community, with crime prevention. Letting people know you're there, protecting the citizens, getting rid of the drugs. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We're in January. I did a research through the FBI. It says Etowah County is 14% higher than national average in crime. That speaks in high volumes, and that alone, I think, would open the door for avenues of outside abilities to levy other agencies for grants and funding within our department to reduce the crime rate. And that, number one, to reduce crime rate and the prevention of crime is to have boots on the ground, have people present. And I think the presence of more patrolmen would make a big difference. So transparency, accountability, and prevention, that's probably the three biggest things I think that I thought about before, but also I've heard a lot about that knocking on doors is that's what people want to see. And community relations too, build up that trust within the community and the department that they know we're not just going to work, getting in patrol cars, driving around. We're actually out here to prevent crime from happening and let you know we're here. And if you need us, this is how you get a hold of us.
Community-based
Absolutely.
Policing. Right.
Absolutely.
Thank all the questions and comments. So we obviously can't get to them all, but he will go back on and
absolutely.
Or his wife is.
I'll tell you this. We're I don't even know how long. We're 40 minutes in, 38 minutes in. Kurt on YouTube, what's up, brother Kurt, Jerry's brother?
Watching.
He jumped on from North Carolina. Just saw him pop up there.
He can't vote for you.
He can't vote. Dang it! It's getting close to time to stripe those yards, buddy. I need those pictures. I've had positive engagements with. I guess you don't break the law. You have positive engagements with law enforcement, I guess.
True, yep.
But right. But there was a time that our family was involved in something, or something happened to us, and I'm just going to give a shout out. This is nothing to you, but a shout out to the sheriff's department. It's so comforting because we encountered two different deputies. One was an investigator, another was a deputy, that just sat down and they humanized the moment. And I think that's very important. And that speaks highly of the people that Absolutely. You guys, if you are elected sheriff, that you have in place there, that you've got some people that will humanize the situation and those people for a moment to listen to them. And because you think about law enforcement a lot of times. When I was a kid, we had Jimmy McKevin, Super Cop, and all those guys, and they were just big, larger than life, right? Larger than life. And Levon, we just lost him. He died just 2 weeks ago. He was a superstar in Gadsden. But these guys sat down with us and they humanized us, and they listened to us, they sympathized, and then they helped us figure out what our options were to go after this person that was doing some stuff that was horrible to our family. And that to me speaks volumes to who we have in law enforcement. So you guys that are watching, kudos to you for that.
It's a ministry,
because they didn't have to do. They didn't have to do that.
That's right.
They could have took the report and went on, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's just great for the people that we do have here.
Some great questions here, and I'm going to ask you a hard one too.
Okay.
Because I think you can handle it. Daniel Harper, hey, why should I vote for someone who has not ever worked in law enforcement over another candidate who spent most of their adult life
Good question.
in the field? That's the actual question.
That's a good question. I've been asked it a lot.
I'm sure, yeah.
The sheriff's department, the sheriff's job is an administrative job. You very rarely do you see the sheriff out in the streets unless needed. I've done very well in business. I have created a business with very little bit of money. Grew it with a group of people that I've assembled and delegated authority to work in my absence, to run the sheriff's department and all aspects of it. You have to be present. I'm just speaking for myself. I have to be present. Has there ever been a president elected who was a president before he was elected?
No.
If in a first term, for his first term, has there ever been a mayor elected for the first time that was a mayor before he was the mayor?
Nope.
Has there ever been a burger flipper that was a burger flipper before he became a burger flipper?
Well, you can be a home burger flipper.
So what I'm saying is there's a level of training that has to be done no matter what job you take on. There's deputies that serve right now and policemen who regularly do training because we're ever evolving as a society. Things are changing every day as we see more and more in the news and in general in the public. So what I bring to the table as a 50-year-old man who's a veteran, I've wore many uniforms, never served in law enforcement. It's not a requirement. According to the Secretary of State, the rules to campaign and try to be elected as sheriff, I cross every T and dot every I, and I go beyond that with my knowledge and my skills. What I can do is I can serve the people of Etowah County. I can make sure their voices are heard. I can make sure they're seen. I can address all their issues. I can lead the patrol division. I can lead the jails. I can fix what's broken. And dare I say, one of the things I say often, and I'm not taking gut shots at anybody. I'm speaking for myself. A big part of the campaign is from the current sheriff is we've made great strides in our 7 years in office, a little bit over 7 years. I feel like the time for strides is over. The people want results. And that is where what I'm hearing from a lot of different people, we don't need a progress report. We need progress. And that's what I'm going to bring from day one is I'm going to clean the jails up. I'm going to work on community relations with the patrol division. I want to change what's broken. I'm doing this not for money, not for the glory. I'm doing it to serve the people. I want us to have something that so many of us feel like we've never had. Someone that speaks for them, someone that works for them, someone that upholds the law. And I want to do that for the people of Etowah County.
Jeff, Danny Starnes added to your comment. He said, "Amen, Jeff. Midnight police officer knocked to tell us our son was in a terrible accident. Then he asked, 'Hey, can we pray together about it right now?'"
That's awesome.
That's great. A great.
Yeah,
that is great.
Yeah,
that's good. Thank you, Danny.
He deserved more recognition for that.
Sure. Golly, there's just so many comments. Yeah, keep them coming. And even after the show, let me say this: that all of you folks that go back, and there's thousands that go back and watch later on, you can continue to put your comments in, and John will get those notifications because he'll follow this post. That way he can answer your questions, and I think it's a great way to go back, John, and to engage the people, the constituents you're asking votes for from is not only knock on doors, which is my uncle was the mayor of Gadsden for a long time, Sherman Guyton, and never been in politics before, lost some elections. He ran for representative, Jerry, and I campaigned for him when we were kids.
That's why he lost.
He said, "What these hooligans up here on this mountain, these bad kids." But anyway, and you're right, he was never mayor before, but he was a very extremely successful businessman, and loved the city of Gadsden and wanted to help put it in a better financial situation. The city of Gadsden was getting ready to go bankrupt. My uncle's in heaven now, so I'm not fighting for him, but he took a city that was in dire straits financially and put them in the position. The reason you see the things that are happening in Gadsden now is because Sherman Guyton put them in a financial situation where they could do it. Right. Before they were in the red and fixing to declare bankruptcy. I remember that. But now you're seeing progress, and because of the administration that's there now, I'm gonna give kudos to Craig, even though he won't return my text. Anyway, give kudos to him and his administration. I'm gonna give Kent Back and Jason Wilson the credit. Always Jason Wilson. but you're right. You don't have to be in law enforcement to be a good sheriff. You don't have to be in politics to be a good mayor, but you do have to be a good person. And I think integrity. My uncle told, if he taught me one thing in my life, he said, Jeff, and we were sitting doing appraisals. I was an apprentice with him. We were sitting in a bank parking lot, waiting to go in. And he said, Jeff, if there's one thing that I can teach you in this life, and I was a young man, he said, live a life of integrity.
Yes.
Do what you say and do it the right way.
Yes.
And so talk about integrity real quick, because you're asking for these people's vote. There are thousands of people that go back and watch this that right now are saying, okay, I have questions. He's never been in law enforcement before. How's he going to do this job? All of those different things. Talk about the importance of integrity, because you're asking for their vote.
To me, integrity is doing what's right whether somebody's looking or not, and standing on what you say and what you believe. Always be honest. You don't have to be perfect to be honest. You have to make a choice to lie or be dishonest or do things that are wrong. That's a choice you make. It doesn't accidentally happen. So integrity to me is doing the right thing no matter if somebody's looking or not. And I do my integrity. I hold to the high standards. Have I always been perfect and made every decision right? But no, I haven't. But I will. If you want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. The answer may not be the answer you want, but it'll be the answer that is truthful from me. It'll be my view, the way I seen it, and it'll be the honest way I seen it. I stand on everything I've ever done. Have I always, in every instance, made the right decision based on what everybody else would have thought I should have done? Absolutely not. But at the time and the decisions I've made throughout my life, I'm 50 years old. I walked on both sides of the street, and sometimes I walked in the middle of the street. Integrity is doing the right thing, no matter if somebody's looking or not. And I hold that as my high standard of being a person of integrity, being honest, being forthcoming about things, being transparent. If somebody asks you a question you don't want to answer, don't lie about it. Just say, hey, I don't want to answer your question. And then they might question you on that too. Why don't you want to answer my question? What are you hiding? So, that's the way I feel about integrity. Doing the right thing, whether somebody's looking or not, and being honest. And I think that's one of the most important things somebody can have.
It's a question. Adam King, how do you plan to make more patrol? How do you plan to make more patrol on the roads? More patrolmen on the roads. Who will handle the doctor's appointments, hospital sits with inmates, and prison transports?
So one thing I've been told, and this is from someone that is at the sheriff's department, is oftentimes when inmates or detainees have to go to the hospital, that there has to be a deputy with that person at all times. I can see the importance of that for many different reasons. And I've heard as a result of that, sometimes some of the investigators have to go out on patrol and patrol the streets, which I understand, you have to have a presence. I don't think there's a lack in that directly through the sheriff. I'm not, saying that, all aspects of the sheriff's department is on the sheriff, and it's a big job. I know. Believe me, I didn't come into this sleeping. Having more deputies, I know they're short staffed as most people are, and it's probably got a lot to do with the pay issue.
Sure.
Recruitment for good deputies. Delegating authority and having the right people in the right place. What are the legalities of who we can put with these inmates? Because let's face it, if you have an inmate or a detainee that's in the hospital for, say, 3 days, there has to be round the clock security there, which is the responsibility of the sheriff's department. So what level of service must this security have to secure the inmate or the detainee that's in the hospital? What can we do for outside resources? Can we hire another a private security firm? Is there money to do that? And if there is, why are we not paying our deputies? So the fundamentals of the pay scale within the sheriff's department, with the deputies, with the investigators, I think that's something that has to be looked at internally. For me to make a decision on that from where I stand right now, not being able to sit down and do the numbers on it and assemble a team to help me figure out the best way to do that. However, once elected sheriff, assembling that group of people, that team, who can help me understand better the way to direct the funds, the way to hire the correct people to secure the inmates or the detainees while they're in the hospital or getting medical help. I think that's something that needs to be addressed for sure. Once I'm able to sit down and actually see, the finances, the fundamentals of that business.
John, I know you got a couple questions you want to get to. Let me throw this one out first. I think it was a very good one. I think it's on YouTube. I lost it. Really, it's to the point. I'm going to paraphrase it because I lost the question, but it was like, hey, what are your plans to recruit young people to enter the sheriff's department?
That's a good question. It's a very good question. So, recruitment is a multifaceted job. I mean, it's one thing just to recruit people that have just been trained, but to recruit the right people is what's important. The people that want to serve the community. Not just people who just got their credentials, but people that actually want to serve. And you have to vet these people properly. And there has, even after they're trained and given their credentials to be a patrolman, there's still going to be training after that. There's more training that comes along. In order to recruit the right people, you have to give people a chance. You have to have multiple interviews with them, understand what their objective is. What kind of difference do you want to make in this community and in society? Not just that, but where do you stand morally? Who are you as a person? And that comes along with a background check and knowing who they was before. That's part of the hiring process. Sure. The application, as we talked about earlier, the resume that each person carries with them throughout their life. So I think it's important to when I went to truck driving school, I was a truck driver in the military. I was 88 Mach 10. When I came out to the civilian world, none of that mattered. None of that counted. I had to go to commercial driving school. Once upon graduating commercial driving school at Gadsden State Community College, we had what was called pre-hires. In other words, I had 30 or 40 companies saying, hey, we'll give you a job as soon as you get your license. If we reach out to these training systems and look at these candidates before their graduation, go ahead and start the hiring process and send out a pre-hire, so to speak, or something to say, hey, we're interested in looking at you upon completion of this program and your training. I think that would streamline the whole process instead of just waiting to the last minute.
That's good. There's a couple of questions on here I do want to get to. We're getting close to the hour mark, which is where we're trying to live. We've got Mayor Taylor getting ready. So, hey, if you're watching, you do not want to miss the show with Mayor Joe Taylor in just a minute because we're going to dive in things of Rainbow City. We're going to kind of pick back up where we were left off last week in this Jesse Battles getting kicked off the ballot. We're going to be talking about all that here. We've got some updates for you, so we'll share all those here in just a moment. We do appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate all of our sponsors. Let me give a shout out to our newest sponsor, the Humble Hemp Shack in Gadsden and in Trussville. Listen, I've got arthritis in my hands, and there's not a cream that works except for this one I'm getting from them. It is expensive, but it's worth I can sleep at night now when I put that cream on my hands. So praise God for these guys at the Humble Hemp Shack. I appreciate you guys. Glenda, go see Glenda in Trussville. That's where I get my stuff. I know Gadsden, it's easier, but Glenda's the manager there in Trussville. So give them a shout if you have any needs like that.
Love me some Glenda. That's all I'm saying. I don't care what she's selling. I'm buying.
Yeah, I'm buying whatever Glenda's selling. Let me ask you this question, and I think this is kind of a valid question. You're coming into a legacy job, right? There's been some, when I think about sheriff, I think about guy that was probably the best Brotherhood breakfast speaker ever. Sheriff Hayes was just a wonderful guy. He's a deacon, I think, at Union Number 3 Baptist Church. And but if I heard when I was younger, hey, he's speaking at a Brotherhood breakfast, and even as a teenager, I would get up and go to it because he was just that kind of guy. Great Bible teacher, a good guy. And then Sheriff Entrican, know him very well. But somebody wants to know what's your opinion on the former sheriff. And I would imagine you're not talking about James Hayes because he's already gone and in heaven. I'm guessing they're asking about Sheriff Entrican, former Sheriff Entrican. What are your opinions on him and some of the controversies that come along with that?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's one I haven't had before.
Welcome to Kapow.
My opinion. I've never been in politics, but I do have friends that are in politics. They're elected officials in Etowah County. And
you keep Jamie Grant out of this.
No, I wouldn't, Jamie.
Sorry. We throw him under the bus every chance.
Every chance. He's laid out on that couch in ways you don't want to know. We've cleaned it. Don't worry about
it. There was a lot of controversy around his last year as sheriff regarding the meal ticket house that they said he got. At that point in time, I didn't really follow a whole lot. However, I did follow it, just like we all did. Whether we want to know about it or not, we knew about it.
You couldn't get away from it. Yeah.
For someone to be able to and I'm not saying that everything I heard, we haven't talked about this, everything I heard is facts. So for me to voice an opinion that would reflect who I want y'all to know I am, it's going to be very limited, and my knowledge is very limited. However, let me say this. If he was able to buy, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm digging way back here, an $800,000 home, is that what it was? Beach house. And in what amount of time was he able to do that? And not just that, morally, was it right? No, it wasn't. I mean, how can you say? And so if all that money came from feeding the excess funds left over after feeding the inmates, is that the gist of it?
Correct.
Which was legal, 100% legal.
That's what I'm saying. If it was
legal,
if it was illegal, he'd be in jail. He'd been arrested for it.
Right.
That's right.
This is a good one.
Yeah. And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
I said I would answer any question. So this is just my opinion. If you're able to save 800,000, and I'm gonna put it out there, I may lose votes, I may gain votes. Who knows? If you're able to save $800,000 and put it in your pocket based upon saving money versus feeding the inmates nutritional food, because I have heard the food in there is terrible. And let me say this: when elected sheriff, I'm going to eat with them guys. I'm going to eat the food they eat. I'm going to eat that food every day that I'm there. I'm going to eat that food. However, if and I don't know, was this over his full term that he was able to save that money? So there's a lot there that's still to be questioned. However, $800,000 is a lot of money. And if you're able to put that amount of money, if that's where the full amount of that money came from, hey, here's $800,000 I made off feeding the inmates whatever they ate. I'm not going to put a label to it. And with this money, I'm going to buy a beach house. I don't feel like that is right. So $800,000 could have served this county in so many different ways. And when I'm elected sheriff, I'm going to put the proof in the pudding. The money that's left over, provided there is, that's where transparency comes into play. The money that's left over, watch where that money goes. It's not going to go in John Hill's pocket. It's going to go into rehab that works. And I don't mean just for drug users. Rehab is for people who need help. And one thing I've learned, one thing I know is just drug abusers or drug users are not the only people that needs rehab.
Right. That's right.
There's mental rehabilitation.
Correct.
There's people needs rehab just to get their life in order.
You need rehab just when you come back from Walmart.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I agree.
That's funny.
I challenge everyone to hold me accountable and wait for the transparency to come out that the money that is saved, any amount of money, the sheriff gets a salary, and I'm pretty sure it's about $88,000 a year. That's a decent amount of pay.
I'll take half that in cash right now.
I think it's $88,700 a year. I'm fairly confident that's what it is. So if that's what I'm paid to do the sheriff's job, any other money that is left over from jail funds, from the store they run in the jail, from the phone calls, I've done research on that there's money made there, and it makes sense. It goes to the jail fund. Well, what's left of that jail fund, why not put it in the community? Why not use, if there's $800,000 to put toward this community of Etowah County of excess funds, imagine what kind of good that could do. Imagine how many people could we lift up and not just lift up their spirits, but lift up their lives with that kind of money. I mean, I've had a point in time in my life, and thank God I'm no longer there, where $1,000 would have changed my life.
Sure.
I've met people where $500 would change their life. I've had people reach out to me about just help with their power bills. No joke, in the last month.
Sure.
Imagine what kind of change that would make in people's lives. And I'm not just saying that because I want your vote. I'm saying that because that is one of the changes for Etowah County that I'm going to make.
Yeah. Well, let me say this, and we got to go. But and by the way, thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it very, very much, and being transparent and being willing to go back and answer some of these questions. Somebody had put on there talking about bringing up people's past and things like that, and someone talked about they say, I have not seen it, about a post that you had made about a mugshot of the sheriff's former past. But let me just say this. This is my opinion. The whole theme of God's word is restoration. Correct. From the Genesis to the Revelation. And as long as you're not a felon and you've made mistakes in your past, regardless of who you are, you should be forgiven for that if God forgives you, and you should be restored to your rightful place. God forbid people go do digging in your past, and they probably will, and they probably have. There's always going to be something out there that is not going to be appealing or pleasing to somebody. A person made a comment just a moment ago. Sam Purvis on here said it doesn't have to be illegal to be morally wrong, and that is very true, Sam.
True.
So just everybody, for future reference, and we have a Senate race that is heating up right now.
Right.
Keep that in mind, that restoration is real, and if you're going to run for public office, own your mistakes and be okay with it, and move past it. And so I'll say that to you, and I'll say that to any, we've had the Secretary of State sitting in here just a few weeks ago, Wes Allen, and we would say that to Wes Allen. Jared probably does on text all the time. So keep that in mind, and I would ask this for you and for every other person running for office. Do your best to keep it clean, because always remember there's something out there that can be said, even if it's true or not, about you or anybody else. And I'm just thankful to have people like you come in and say, you know what, I'll answer any question. And that's refreshing, because normally when Jerry asks that question that everybody gets asked, they'll go, well, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. And for you to come in and go, yeah, whatever, I'll talk about anything. Refreshing, and we appreciate it.
I want to give him a bye, though.
Yeah.
We are not going to hold him to
watch him.
We are not going to hold him. He gets a free pass. You don't have to eat the jail food.
No, don't.
Let's give him a free pass.
Take that back.
Is that legal? Can you eat the jail food?
It's nutritional, right?
I don't know. I hope to never find out.
Yeah,
I'm going to eat the jail food.
I'll be calling Shelby. I need some Activia. You bring me some Activia? Anything in closing, just look at that camera. And Joe Taylor can wait for a few minutes. He's got a key.
He might as well come on in.
Now's your opportunity to reach out there and ask the people of Etowah County for their votes.
So thank y'all for having me on the show.
Yeah,
sure. This is huge. This is great for somebody like me who doesn't have a huge footprint in Etowah County. I mean, I do. I got people that knows me. However, if y'all go to my Facebook page, John Henry Hill Jr., and follow me or send me a friend request, I will accept it. We'll accept it. We're happy to answer any question you have. I'm asking for your vote on May 19th in the Republican primaries. We, the people, are ready for this change. We need a change that is positive for the community. We need it for all of us. I mean, I want it for me. I want it for my kids. I want it for you and for your kids. The reason I said you can ask me anything is because that is part of transparency, is being forthcoming with who you are, who you've been, and who you're going to be. Once again, I thank y'all for having me on the show.
Thank you.
This has been huge for me in my campaign. I thank y'all for chiming in with the questions, and any questions you have in the future, please feel free to send them, or I'm pretty sure you can still comment questions on this post, and we'll follow it for many, many weeks to come. And I look forward to serving all of y'all. If y'all want me to come to your neighborhoods and knock on your doors, give you a sign, any kind of campaign material, or answer questions, I'm happy to do that. And I guess that's about it. May 19th, we need the votes. Vote for a change, and thank y'all very much.
Thank you, buddy. Your number's on your brochure, so I'm going to give that out, since I guess that's public, right?
That's my personal number.
You can contact John Hill at 256-399-7919, 256-399-7919, and you can text, I'm sure, there any questions that you have for Mr. Hill. So, John, thank you so much for joining us on Kapow. We'll be right back with Mayor Joe Taylor. Thank you.